Hello? My name is Dr. Robert Ellis. If you're between the ages of 55 and 75, then perhaps it's time we spoke about something that very few people truly prepare you for: what aging actually feels like. Over the past 4 decades as a physician, I've had the privilege of sitting beside thousands of patients as they navigate this remarkable, often misunderstood chapter of life. And I can tell you, there is far more to aging than what you see in glossy advertisements or cheerful television segments about the golden years. It's not always tennis at sunrise or vacations by the sea. More often it's quiet mornings, subtle aches, and moments of unexpected reflection. It's saying goodbye to certain roles and identities, and learning, sometimes for the first time, how to be with yourself fully in the present moment. This stage of life doesn't arrive with a manual. No magazine column or pill bottle can fully prepare you for the deeper layers of aging, the emotional shifts, the spiritual reckonings, the way time begins to soften or sharpen everything you thought you knew. And yet, there is a quiet beauty to it. Not loud, not showy, but real, steady, and profoundly human. Today, I'm not here to diagnose or prescribe. I'm not speaking to you as just a doctor, but as someone who has also aged, who has known loss and change, and who continues to uncover the unexpected gifts of growing older. I want to share with you the truths that aren't often spoken aloud, the ones that come not from textbooks, but from the lived experience of decades, from the long conversations in waiting rooms, from the eyes of patients who have just discovered what truly matters, and from my own reflections in the mirror, year after year. So if you're here, listening, I invite you to pause, to take a breath, and to join me, not in a lecture, but in a quiet conversation between two people who understand that the journey of aging is not about endings, it's about arriving more fully into yourself. Let's begin. Let's begin where it matters most, with your body. You see, when we're younger, the body feels like an afterthought. We push it, we deprive it of rest, we feed it whatever is convenient, we expect it to keep going. And for a while it does. We bounce back from sleepless nights, poor diets, and long days like nothing ever happened. Pain was temporary, recovery was fast, strength was a given, but something shifts after 55. Not all at once, but quietly, persistently. And if we're honest, it can be unsettling. The knees ache longer, the back stiffens more, energy doesn't return the way it used to. It's easy to interpret these things as signs of failure, but I assure you, they are not. What you're feeling is your body's way of whispering, "Take care of me. I've carried you through so much, and I still want to go with you. But I need your help." This body, your body, is not just a machine. It is your home. The only one you've truly ever had, and like any home, it needs maintenance, attention, and tenderness. The good news is it's never too late to care for it more lovingly. You don't need to become a marathon runner. You don't need to chase youth. You simply need to return to the basics. Move every day. Stretch with stiff. Nourish with intention. Rest when needed. Not as a reward, but as a right. A 20-minute walk can do more for your well-being than any fancy supplement. Gentle strength work, lifting soup cans, if that's what's available, helps preserve your balance and your dignity. Real food, clean water, and a bit of sunlight are some of the most powerful medicines I've ever prescribed. And perhaps most importantly, don't treat rest like laziness. Rest is wisdom. It's how the body restores and renews. This stage of life isn't about trying to look 30 again. It's about feeling good in the body you live in now. It's about moving through your days with presence, not perfection. The body may slow, yes, but it also softens, deepens, listens more. And when you care for it with kindness, it becomes not a burden, but a trusted companion for the road ahead. So start small. Start gently. But start today. because this body still remembers your laughter, your tears, your dreams. It has carried every memory you hold dear. Treat it as sacred, because it is. Let's talk about friendship. One of the quiet truths of aging, the ones that rarely make it into polite conversation, is that not everyone stays. Over time, people drift. Some move away. Some grow in different directions. Some simply vanish from your life without malice, just distance. And some, of course, leave this world entirely, far too soon. No matter how stoic we try to be, it hurts. The absence of familiar voices, shared memories, or even the simple comfort of someone who knows you, not for what you do, but for who you are, can leave a subtle but lasting ache in the soul. But here's the unexpected beauty of this season. The friends who remain, the ones who still call, who still remember your birthday, who sit in silence with you without needing to fill it, they are more precious now than ever. You begin to realize that friendship was never about numbers. It's not how many people you can call. It's how many truly understand you without explanation. At this stage, a single friend who makes you feel seen is worth more than a room full of acquaintances. Maybe it's the one who knows your story without you needing to repeat it. Maybe it's the one who can sit with you in shared grief or shared laughter, or that quiet, beautiful space where nothing needs to be said at all. If you're fortunate enough to have someone like that, hold on to them. And if it's been a while since you reached out, don't wait. You don't need a reason. A simple thinking of you is sometimes all it takes to keep a connection alive. Because in the end, it won't be your possessions, titles, or accolades that linger in people's hearts. It will be the warmth of your presence, the way you made them feel, the phone calls you returned, the time you gave, even when you had little to spare. So write that letter, make that call, forgive when you can, and above all, cherish the rare souls who continue to walk beside you, even if the path looks different now. True friends may grow fewer with time, but their worth only deepens. Is something else I want to speak to you about. Something that almost every patient eventually confesses to me in one way or another. It's the quiet astonishment at how quickly time seems to pass. When we're young, time feels infinite. A summer afternoon can feel like an entire lifetime. A year stretches on endlessly, filled with plans, ambitions, and that unshakable sense that there will always be more. More time to travel, more time to change careers, more time to heal relationships. We live with the illusion that the clock is on our side, but then, somewhere after 55, and perhaps you've felt this, time begins to shift. Days blur into weeks, and weeks into months. You blink, and somehow it's the holidays again. A birthday arrives that you weren't ready for. The calendar feels like it's running ahead of you. You find yourself looking back, wondering, where did the last 10 years go? I've asked myself that question too. And here's the thing, it's not just a feeling, there's science behind this. As we age, our perception of time changes. The novelty that made moments feel slower in youth becomes more rare, and so time, quite literally, feels like it speeds up. But we are not powerless in the face of this shift. You see, the secret is not in trying to slow down time, because we can't. The secret is learning to slow ourselves, to become present, to step fully into the ordinary, fleeting moments and treat them as if they were sacred, because they are. That morning cup of coffee, don't just drink it, taste it, hold it, let it warm your hands. That hug from your grandchild, linger a little longer in it. That walk through your neighborhood, look up at the trees, smell the earth, feel the air on your skin. These are not small moments. These are the moments, the ones we remember, the ones that anchor us to the life we're actually living. Too many people rush through their days waiting for something big to come along, the vacation, the retirement, the miracle. But I've come to believe that the miracle is already here, It's in the mundane. It's in the way your partner still knows how you like your tea. It's in the way your old dog looks at you. It's in the quiet evening light streaming through the window. Time may be slipping through our fingers faster than before, but meaning is always within reach. And the more we learn to be present, the more we come to realize life hasn't passed us by. It's waiting patiently for us to notice it again. There's a word I've come to cherish more and more with each passing year. It's not complex. It doesn't make headlines, but it has changed the way I live and the way I guide others through the later chapters of their lives. That word is gratitude. Now, I want to be clear. Gratitude does not mean denying your losses, and by the time you reach your 60s or 70s, you've likely known more than a few. Perhaps it's the decline of your own health, slow and quiet but undeniable, or the passing of someone who held a sacred place in your story, or the simple ache of dreams you once held that never quite came to be. These are real, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. But here's what I've learned, both in my practice and in my own private hours. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain. It transforms our relationship to it. Gratitude doesn't say, "This didn't hurt." It says, "Even so, I still see the light." It's the small daily choice to acknowledge what remains, not just what was lost. It can be something as ordinary as the sound of the birds outside your window in the morning, the smell of rain, the way a familiar song pulls a memory from somewhere deep inside you, the kindness of a neighbor who brings your mail to the door, the strength of your own hands, still able to hold, to lift, to offer care. These things, small as they are sacred if we learn to see them that way. Many nights I've ended my day by writing down just 3 good things. Some days the list is easy, other days it's more difficult. But the ritual itself trains the mind, gently, persistently, to shift focus. And what I've found, and what research confirms, is that this practice can lower anxiety, improve sleep, and even lengthen our years. But beyond all the studies and statistics, I can tell you simply, it brings peace. Gratitude, when practiced consistently, becomes a kind of superpower, not loud or dramatic, but steady. It softens the heart, it clears the mind, it opens the spirit to life again. So, if today feels heavy or hollow or uncertain, try this. Pause, breathe, and look for one good thing, just one, and tomorrow another, and the day after that, another still. Over time, you'll begin to see, even in the midst of change, even in the shadow of grief, there is still so much worth noticing, worth honoring, worth giving thanks for. Let's speak now about something simple but not always easy. The word no. For most of our lives, we're taught, often subtly, sometimes directly, that saying yes is virtuous. Say yes to every invitation, every request, every opportunity. Be agreeable, be helpful, be available. And so we do. We stretch ourselves thin in the name of being kind. We take on more than we should in order to feel needed, valued, essential. And for a time, maybe that served us. Maybe it was how we built our careers, our families, our reputations. But then something changes. Somewhere after 55, the body grows more sensitive to stress. The spirit grows more discerning, and the truth becomes harder to ignore. Every yes you offer comes at a cost. Your time, your energy, your peace, they are not unlimited. And when you give them away too freely, too automatically, you begin to lose pieces of yourself in the process. I've seen this again and again in my patients, a woman in her 70s still saying yes to every family obligation, even when her joints ache and her spirit is weary. A man retired from work but unable to retire from the pressure to stay busy, to stay useful. Behind their eyes is the same fatigue, the kind that doesn't come from effort, but from misalignment. So here is what I've come to understand, and what I gently remind those in my care. Learning to say no clearly, kindly, and without guilt is one of the most liberating acts of self-respect we can offer ourselves as we age. No to gatherings that drain rather than nourish. No to commitments born of obligation rather than desire. No to conversations that leave your spirit heavy and your heart clenched. Saying no is not a rejection of life. It is a protection of life, of your life. And each no you speak opens space for a more meaningful yes. Yes to rest. Yes to time spent quietly with a book, a garden, or your own thoughts. Yes to the people and places that restore your energy rather than consume it. Yes to the things that make you feel more like yourself, not less. You are not here to please everyone. You are not required to be everywhere, do everything, or be everything to anyone. Your presence, your attention, your love. These are sacred resources. Spend them where they matter most, and trust that the people who truly love you will understand. Because at this stage in life, freedom isn't about adding more. It's about needing less and choosing wisely. When we hear the word legacy, most of us imagine something grand, an award, a building named in our honor, a lifetime achievement plaque hanging in some hallway. And yes, those things have their place. But as I've grown older, and as I've walked with many others through their final chapters, I've come to see legacy differently. Legacy isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows, in the in-between moments, in the kind of quiet presence that never makes the evening news, but forever changes the landscape of someone's heart. It's in the way you looked someone in the eye when they were speaking. It's in the way you held your partner's hand during their doctor's appointment. It's in the time you set aside to truly listen to your child, even when the laundry and the emails were calling. These gestures may seem small, forgettable even, but they're not. Years from now, no one will remember how clean your kitchen was, or whether you had the latest phone, but they will remember how you made them feel. Safe, seen, respected. They will remember the softness in your voice when they were hurting, the way you showed up without being asked, the time you forgave without conditions. That is legacy. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to be wealthy, powerful, or wildly accomplished to lead one. You just need to be present. You need to care. You need to live your values, not just speak them. You need to remember that every interaction, no matter how brief, is a chance to be a mirror of kindness. I've seen men who spent their lives chasing big achievements come to the end feeling hollow, wishing they had slowed down. I've also seen people who never earned a single accolade we'd call impressive, yet left behind a trail of love so deep it brought whole rooms to tears. Their lives were quiet, but their impact was thunderous. So I say to you, as someone who spent a lifetime observing both the medical and emotional heart, do not underestimate the quiet moments. The smile you offer the cashier, the note you send to a grieving friend, the patience you show when it would be easier to snap. These are the brushstrokes that paint the legacy of a life well lived. And the best part, you're building that legacy every single day, often without even realizing it. In all my years as a physician, I've often been asked about the body, how to protect it, strengthen it, maintain it. But far fewer people ask about the mind. And yet, I would argue that your mind, your inner landscape, is one of the greatest treasures you will ever possess. As we age, it's easy to focus on what the body no longer does. The knees that creak, the hands that tremble, the memory that occasionally misplaces a name or a date. These changes are natural, yes, but they can be disheartening. They make us wonder, am I slipping? Am I fading? Let me assure you of something. Growing older does not mean growing dim. Your mind is not a candle running out of wax. It is a garden, and like any garden, it needs sunlight, fresh air, and regular tending. A sharp mind doesn't demand brilliance or youthful speed. It thrives on curiosity. It stays awake through engagement, not through force, but through wonder. Read things that make you think, have conversations that challenge your perspective, learn a few words in a language you've never spoken, or study the history of a place you'll never visit. These small acts, they keep the brain agile and the spirit alive, and do not discount the wisdom you already carry. One of the blessings of age is depth. You may not be as quick to recall a number, but your insight, your lived understanding of human nature, pain, joy, and resilience is richer than ever. The world needs that, the younger generations need that, and you need to honor that within yourself. But just as important as feeding the mind is protecting it. Be mindful of what you allow in. If your days are filled with noise, constant news, endless complaints, manufactured urgency, your mind becomes cluttered. Over time, it forgets how to breathe. Choose instead to nourish your mental space. Replace scrolling with stillness. Trade gossip for stories that uplift. Let your thoughts be shaped by beauty, not bitterness. Because your mind, when cared for, becomes not just a tool, but a sanctuary. And let me say this to you directly. It is never too late. Never too late to learn. Never too late to change how you think. Never too late to fall in love with a new idea, a new book, a new way of seeing the world. I've had patients who began writing poetry at 80, who studied music at 85, who joined philosophy groups in their 90s. Not to prove anything, but simply because their minds were still hungry. So feed your mind. Guard it. Delight in it. Because while the body may bend with time, the mind, when nourished, continues to bloom. One of the most humbling truths about life, and perhaps one of the hardest to accept as we grow older, is that change never stops. It doesn't ask our permission. It doesn't wait for us to feel ready. It simply comes, like the tide, reshaping the shore of our lives again. When we were younger, change felt like adventure. A new job, a growing family, a move across the country. It was all part of the expansion of life. But after 55, change takes on a quieter, more sobering shape. Friends move away. Children grow up and carve out lives of their own. The routines we once took for granted are interrupted by illness, by loss, by the slow turning of the seasons. The home that was once full of voices may now echo with silence. And that silence can feel like a stranger. I've sat with many patients in those moments, the ones when change feels more like grief than growth. I've listened to stories told with tears in the eyes and hands folded in resignation, and I felt it myself, the ache of letting go of what was, even when you're stepping into something new. But here's what I gently remind them, and remind myself: resisting change does not stop it. It only makes the process harder. Change is the very fabric of life. It is not our enemy, though it may feel like one. It is, in many ways, a teacher. And it is often through change that we discover resilience we didn't know we had. You don't have to pretend it's easy. You don't have to smile through every goodbye. But what you can do is soften toward it. Honor what was. Grieve what's been lost. And then, when you're ready, begin to notice what's emerging. New rhythm to your mornings. A smaller home that feels more peaceful. A chance to slow down, to rest, to create. New friendships that arise in unexpected places. Perhaps with neighbors, perhaps even online. The gift of solitude, once feared, becomes a space for rediscovery. Not all change will feel welcome, but some of the richest joys, the deepest wisdom, the gentlest strength, they only arrive through time. And time, as it turns out, is always bringing us somewhere new. You are not being left behind. You are simply being invited to grow again. So take heart. You are still becoming. You are still capable of transformation. And some of the most beautiful chapters in your story may be waiting just beyond the latest change. As we bring this conversation to a close, I want to offer you something not from a textbook, but from the quiet understanding that only time can teach. Aging is not a problem to be fixed. It is not a decline nor a retreat. It is a deepening, a slow, steady invitation to come home to yourself. You are not less because you are older. In fact, I believe you are more distilled, more aware, more in touch with the essence of who you really are. The lines on your face are not flaws. They are imprints of laughter, of worry, of love endured and lessons learned. The slowing of your body is not defeat. It is a chance to move with more intention, more reverence, more grace. And the softening of your schedule, your circle, your plans, that is not emptiness, that is space. Space to breathe, to reflect, to choose. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. You've done more than enough. Now is the time to live from the inside out, to listen when your soul whispers, to care for yourself the way you've spent years caring for everyone else. To stop waiting for the right time and realize that this moment, this breath, this chapter, is the time you've been given, and it is enough. If no one has told you lately, let me say it here. As your doctor, and as someone who walks this same path beside you, you are still needed. You are still growing. You are not too late. You are not too old. And some of the most meaningful, beautiful pages in your life story may be the ones you've yet to write. So take care of your body, your lifelong home. Tend to your mind, your garden of thought and memory. Nurture your relationships, the real treasures of this life. And above all, be kind to yourself. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend who's been through a long journey and still showed up with heart. Thank you for spending this time with me. If something in these words resonated with you, carry it forward. Share it not only with others but with your own soul. Let it echo in your choices. Let it soften your days. There is still so much beauty left in life, and there is still so much beauty left in you. Until next time, may you walk gently, live deeply, and hold each day as the sacred gift that it is.